your abilities are
You
infinite.
don't know whose lives you are changing
Yeah.
by showing up every day in this world, being the best version of you, being authentically you, being the confident person that you are as a
Hmm.
result of being comfortable in the being of uncomfortable state.
Exactly. Yep.
It's Rania here, your host on the Healing Train, a podcast designed to help you lighten your load, release whatever is weighing you down, and reconnect with yourself. Whether it's a toxic relationship, childhood wounds that never healed, struggling with self forgiveness, or on a healing journey, it's time we have these uncomfortable conversations. Let's dive deep with experts and professionals in psychology, health and wellness, and alternative healing, and also ordinary people that have been there. It may just be the fresh perspective you need to support your journey. You could even be a guest on this show. This is a space for sharing stories, a safe stop where you can pause, recharge, and know you're not alone. So take a deep breath, settle in, and join me on today's ride as we explore the path to healing together. Hop on board the healing train. On the healing train today, we have with us a special guest, Nick Yerhart. Nick is living proof that challenges don't define us, our mindset and actions do. Born with cerebral palsy, Nick has never let it be an obstacle, but instead uses it as fuel to inspire others. As a certified 10 times business coach, he helps entrepreneurs grow their businesses by leveraging the power of podcasting, turning their voices into lead generation tools and revenue driving assets. Nick is dedicated to reshaping the narrative around individuals with special abilities. And in Nick's own words, he says, "My journey is not defined by my diagnosis of cerebral palsy. It's marked by my relentless mission to empower billions to enhance their quality of life, embrace self love, and unlock their true potential." Let's meet Nick. Hello, Nick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Nick, I've done some preparations for this episode because it actually touches me so much. There is a quotation I found online that would be very fitting to our episode today. Sounds like a poem, to be honest, but I'm going to read it and we'll start our episode from here. It's about attitude by Charles Swindoll. It says, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is, we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change the past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes." Wow, right?
Yeah, that was amazing.
I felt it was very fitting for the subject matter that we are talking about today, which is, in a nutshell, resilience, which is our
Mhm.
attitude. It's what we choose, right? And I know, Nick, that your mission is to help people through your story. And it is not a secret that you have cerebral palsy. Hopefully, I'm saying this right. And for the
Yep.
audience, I'd like to give a quick explanation of what it is in case you are unfamiliar with it, and we will get into our conversation. Taken from the source myclevelandclinic.org, cerebral palsy is a neurological condition that can present as issues with muscle tone, posture, or a movement disorder. It's the result of damage to your brain during fetal development or another developmental disability that affects the way your brain develops. The signs and symptoms of CP appear early in childhood and can vary widely from person to person. Hopefully, I've explained it. But,
Oh yeah.
Nick, you have a story, and I'd love for you to share that story with our audience today. Take it away.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. So my story starts out when I was born dead. I had no heartbeat. I wasn't breathing, nothing. Thankfully and obviously, they revived me. Now, at that time, yeah, I went into a NICU unit for, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. But after that, like, I was developing fine. They didn't think anything was wrong. But then when I was around 1 years old is when I got diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Cause my mom just noticed, my hands weren't working like they should, and I, you know, wasn't able to crawl or something like I should. So, I went and got tested, and that's when we found out. Now, for the first few years, the doctors said that I would never walk, I might not talk, I would be dependent on somebody else my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And, my mom was very young. She had me when she was 17 years old. And, she kind of took the doctor's word, but kind of didn't believe it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, my technically my stepdad came into my life when I was young, and my dad, I call him my dad. He's just my dad. He was the one that was there, but he he pushed me to figure out what I could do, and I'm so grateful for that. So because of him and my mom, I think I was like 4 years old. And my dad asked me if I wanted to learn how to walk. The thing that the doctor said that I could never do. Well, I was a kid, so of course I was like, yeah, I would love to,
Yeah, let's do it.
And, yeah, let's go. So for almost a year, my dad and my mom worked with me almost every day. They would hold my hands on each side of me so I could hold on to them, and we would just walk around. And I also had a walker that I would, use also. And after like a year, I was finally able to walk on my own at like 5 years old, which is much later than usual. But hey, I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did understand at that time is other people can't limit what you do by what they say that you can do.
Right.
And I've lived with that in my mind my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So, growing up, I just kept doing more, kept figuring out what I could do, and then we can fast forward a little bit to where I was 15 years old and I wanted to get my driver's license. Now, I grew up on a farm. On a farm, I got my first pickup when I was 11 years old. So I had already been driving for years before this, so I knew I could do it. Well, I went to get my permit, and they said that I had to get an okay from a doctor. My doctors immediately said, no, you can't get your license.
Because of
Well,
the condition and the rules around it.
exactly.
Right.
Well, I I didn't stop there.
Mm.
We fought and we got, more opinions from other doctors and experts and
Mm-hmm.
went through a lot of testing and all that. And finally, I was able to get my driver's license.
Yes, yes, you did
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And like for me, like I love driving. I get behind the wheel
Mm-hmm.
and my condition, it goes away. I
Disappears
don't,
like it doesn't
it does.
exist.
Exactly. That's how I feel every time I drive anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I I used to race four wheelers, I ride dirt bike, go kart, like everything you can think of, I driven it. Uh, Tractors, semis, cranes, like that's what I love doing.
Yeah.
And when I fought to get my driver's license, that was another big accomplishment, like a big win in my life. And from that moment forward, I was like, all right, no one is going to stop me from achieving my goals. And that's so important, especially for what I do now, because it allows me to just never give up. Like, if I want something, I'm going to fight for it as hard as I can. And I want to leave that little message with the audience. If you want something bad enough, never give up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is a great lesson for people, Nick. Wow. I mean, we all have, I want to say, traumas, conditions,
Yeah.
challenges, circumstances in our lives, and they all vary, right? And
Hmm.
it's not a point of comparisons of saying mine is worse than yours or yours is easier than mine. It's not even about that because
No.
everyone's circumstance is theirs. Everyone's challenges is theirs, right? And
Yeah.
the bottom line is your attitude, which ties back to what I read earlier, is what is your attitude about it? What do you believe? What are
Hmm.
you planning to do with the hand that you've been dealt? How are
Yeah.
you going to handle it from this point on? And you took that challenge on from when you were a child without
Yeah.
even recognizing that the resiliency was embedded in you from then, right?
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
as you grew into adulthood, it just became even more and more.
Yeah. And it's like I can't change it. Like
Yeah,
I have cerebral palsy. There's
yeah,
nothing I can do
yeah.
about it. Why not live the best life that I can?
A brief stop at a station. If you have a story to share and feel called to tell it, if you want to share your expertise on this show, please send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. To join me on a journey of healing and recovery, connect with me. My calendar link is in the description. This show is proudly sponsored by Say It Out Loud GG, led by the inspiring Judith Diaz, an avid change maker and passionate advocate for speaking up and raising awareness. The Healing Train podcast is honored to have her support. Now let's get back to the show. Nick, it's awesome that you have overcame your challenges for your personal life. It's almost like you needed to prove something for you, for yourself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Not so much for others.
Yeah.
You saw your life differently. You did not allow a diagnosis to, let's say, control your life. And not only that you thrived in your personal life, but you also decided to make a difference in the world using that condition. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? You're like, what's the lesson in this? What can I
Mhm.
do with this and move forward with it? And you have a business where you help people, right?
Yep.
And I'm sure you've gotten comments saying, do you really think you're up for this type of work? How
Oh
did you
yeah.
handle it? What were your responses?
Honestly, like I built so much resilience over my life that there's not much that really bothers me. And when people say things like that, like, are you ready for it or you can't do it, it's kind of like fuel. Like it's adding fuel to my fire.
Right.
It's driving me to work hard. Because, I mean, yeah, we all like a little competition. So when somebody tells me I can't, it's like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah?
watch this.
Watch me. There you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at people like that. It's like, all right, I get it. I respect your opinion, but your opinion doesn't mean anything to me
Hmm. Hmm. It's what
because
you believe about you,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Everyone's opinion, they're entitled to their opinion, to their perception. If they
Yep.
choose to look at, let's say, a diagnosis in this case and say, well, these are your limitations, well, because that's just facts, you're like,
Hmm.
oh, no, I don't care about what the facts say.
Yeah.
What matters is what my attitude will be about this whole thing and what I will do,
Yeah.
right?
And uh, I used to get like so concerned about what other people
Mm,
thought of me. It
mm-hmm,
was constant. Like I was always just worried. And about 4 years ago, so not that long ago, is when I recognized that there was a problem that
mm-hmm,
was holding me back from really going that extra step.
mm-hmm,
So I worked on that. I was like, all right, how can I get over this? Like, how can I stop caring about what other people think of me? It took a lot of journaling, a lot of thinking, a lot of meditating, a lot of podcasts that I listened to, some books that I read, and I came to the conclusion that they don't matter.
mm-hmm,
Their thoughts, their opinions don't affect my life. I
mm-hmm,
know who I am. I know what I can do. I know the things that are difficult.
mm-hmm,
That's all that matters. All that matters is being me and being my true self and not trying to hide anything or be somebody that I'm not. And that's who I am today. I'm just
mm-hmm.
me.
That's awesome. From your experience, Nick, I know you've had quite a bit of it. Are you able to share with us today any daily habits or practices that might help someone in their journey of resiliency
Oh,
to
yeah.
face whatever challenges they have in their way?
So I start my I start every morning with my daily routine, my miracle morning. If you've heard of that book, it's an excellent book. If you have not heard of the book Miracle Morning, you need to get it because it is so good. It will change your life.
Hmm.
So my morning routine, it's a non-negotiable. Like
Hmm.
I don't give myself an option to not do it.
Hmm.
There's 6 things on my list to do in the morning, and I have to at least do 5 of them.
Hmm.
I give my leeway with a couple. So then it's not like, you know, it's not so strict. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I'm still getting an option with one thing. You know what I mean? But having that morning routine,
Hmm.
it gets my day started on the right foot every morning. And some days it takes an hour to do it. Some days it takes 2 hours. It depends on the day.
Hmm.
I can do things a little quicker if I need, or spend more time on each thing.
Hmm.
Now, those 6 things are uh, meditation.
Hmm.
Well, it's always excellent to meditate in the morning. Exercise,
Hmm.
read, journal,
Hmm.
and then I love to exercise and then get in a cold shower.
Hmm.
Now, people out there, every time that I talk about cold showers, people are like, no, I can't do that. Now,
I
here's
think
why,
I'm one of them. I can tell you
yeah,
that.
here's why I like the cold shower. Number one, it wakes you up like no other. Like you
Mm,
are definitely awake after you get in that cold water. And the second reason why I love it is because if you do something that hard in the morning, it makes doing the other things that are hard in your day a
mm.
lot easier to do.
That is so true. That is so
Yeah.
true.
And then I also read my affirmations every morning. It's so important. Read your affirmations. Remind yourself of your goals.
Mhm,
Remind yourself why you're working so hard and what you want out of life. You
mhm,
know.
mhm.
So yeah.
These are great practices. And of course, not everyone is going to resonate with every single ritual or modality. It's whatever suits you, but give it a try.
Yeah.
Give it a try. And it could be a routine that you love doing, and it
Hmm.
gets you, like you said, your day started on the right foot, and see where it takes you. But I guess the key here is consistency, right,
Oh
Nick?
yeah.
All
Yep.
about consistency, about being determined that why are you doing what you're doing? It's for yourself, right? Because
Yep.
the moment you're doing something to please someone else or because it's what you're expected to do, it's not coming from within, right? Then it's
No.
not gonna give you the results that you need, correct?
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Speaking about books, you were just mentioning, you have on your site that I was checking, you got ebooks that you have. Can you talk to us about those ebooks you have?
Yeah, so one of my books that you can get ebook or on Amazon is
Mhm,
Empowering Motivational Strategies.
mhm,
That is a 46-page little book,
mhm,
easy to read, and there's 21 tips
mhm,
for improving your motivation, your confidence,
mhm,
your resilience, like we are talking about.
mhm,
There's 21 little tips in there. It's a tip with a personal example from my life on, how I got through it, or just an example of what I realized I was doing wrong.
mhm,
So it's a nice little short book. My other ebooks are mostly about podcasting
mhm,
and how podcasting can significantly help your business. It is just huge for
mhm.
many different reasons. If you want to check out my ebooks, you can just go to
Mhm.
nickyerhart.com and check them out.
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, there are people out there who are looking for some guidance, and this may be
Yeah.
beneficial for them. I've noticed also on your podcast that you share many tips and strategies with special guests. You cover many subjects like overcoming fears, like
Hmm.
managing stress, parenting autism, and
Yeah.
I think financial also strategies
Oh,
and such.
oh yeah.
You cover many subjects and
Yep.
you're not limiting to just one. So if anyone is interested to subscribe to your podcast, I would encourage that because you have a lot of gems on there,
Yep. It's
right?
mostly geared towards business,
Mhm,
but what I've realized, I'm a certified 10x business coach.
mhm,
And in order for anyone to have a good business, they have to have a very powerful, positive growth mindset.
mhm,
So that's why on my podcast, I think every guest talks about my mindset
mhm.
in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
It's just so empowering.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, business, podcasting, writing, whatever it is that we're doing, it all stems from who we are as individuals and what we believe.
Yeah.
It will show up in what we do. Whatever
Hmm.
we believe is always going to show up.
Yep.
So that's key. That's key here.
Hmm.
Nick, your story is a story of resilience. Okay? And I loved speaking with you from the very first time that we connected, and thanks to a mutual friend of ours that we
Hmm.
connected. I want to ask you one last question. Can we build resilience?
Definitely. And I did. That's why I can say that we can. And so, like I was saying, 4 years ago is when I had that moment of why am I caring about what other people think?
Mm,
And like because of that, I wasn't confident in myself.
mhm,
And resilience and confidence, they're pretty close to the same thing
mm.
in my book.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I gotta, stop caring about what other people think,
Mhm,
and I gotta be more confident in myself and who
mhm,
I am.
mm,
So I started to, listen to uh, podcasts and books about, building your self confidence.
mm.
And I also have a short ebook on that too.
Okay.
And but for me, it was okay. The best way to build confidence is to step out of your comfort zone
Mm,
as much as you can. Be uncomfortable, so then you get used to being uncomfortable, and then
mm,
not a big deal. So, just to give an example of one of the things that I did to
mhm,
build my confidence,
mhm,
it was I started posting videos on social media.
mhm,
Just little short, little 30-second, 1 minute videos.
mhm, mhm,
That first video was very hard for me to do.
mm.
I'm someone who I had never recorded myself.
Right.
If I ever heard myself talk, I get emotional because
Mm.
I didn't like it. I just did not like how I talked.
We are
So,
our own worst self-critic, Nick, aren't
oh, we are. Yep,
we?
we are. So, for me, I made that first video. A couple of days later, I did another one. Next thing I knew, I was doing a video every day, and then five a day, and yeah. Now, since then, that was, I believe, a little over 3 years ago now, is
Mhm.
when I made that first video.
Yeah.
And I just recently, within the past few weeks, I have posted over 2,000 videos.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
and now I have a podcast that I've been doing for, I think, 10 months now. I've recorded 160 episodes.
Mhm,
158 of them is with a guest.
mhm.
And if you would ask me, you know, 3, 4 years ago,
Yeah.
if I would ever have a podcast,
You'd be
I'd be
like,
like, yeah, no, never. And
not
now,
me. It's not for
yeah,
me. That's what a lot of people say. It's not for me.
yeah,
Well, who's it for then? If it's not for
exactly.
you or for you, for who is it for?
Yep. So yeah, that's just my little tip. To just get or be comfortable with being uncomfortable,
Oh, I
and that's
love
gonna help
that.
you.
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Ah, Nick, that just right there, right there. And you know, sometimes it's amazing the things that come out of our mouth that we don't even know we're capable of saying, and it
yeah,
could be the change maker.
yeah,
One
yeah,
statement can just be it, you
yeah.
know?
Yes, speaking of that, not
Yeah,
to go off topic, but
that's okay.
uh, one of my coaches, we're in like a group meeting. I think this was last Thursday, and he likes to use me as an example, like when you use Chat GPT to
Hmm.
get information about someone. I'm very well known on the internet, so Chat
Hmm.
can always find things about me. But he found a quote that I had said
Mm.
at some point, and when he read it, I was like, I said that? Well, that was
Yeah,
good, but
I know.
when did I say that?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
exactly.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think this is very important for every single person out there who's watching this, listening to this, to know that there's always some value in something you believe, in something you say, in something you do. You don't know whose lives you are changing
Yeah,
by showing up every day in this world, being the best version of you, being authentically you. being the confident person that you are as a
Hmm.
result of being comfortable in the being of uncomfortable state.
Exactly. Yep.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh my goodness, Nick, I think you and I can sit here and talk and from one subject to the next, and it will never be over. And I'd love to
Yep.
have you again on the podcast in the future. And
Let's
perhaps I'll
go.
be on your podcast in the future. You never know,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But Nick, it was such a pleasure having this
It was.
conversation with you. It really, really, really was. And I learned from you. I learned from you. You are an inspiration. And keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing
Thank
what you're
you.
doing. And don't let anyone make you feel small because you aren't.
I love that. I'd love to leave my or your audience with one last message.
Please.
It's actually my slogan, and it is your abilities are infinite. That means so many different things to so many different people,
Mhm.
but just take that, believe in it, and your life will improve.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And with that, we will end our episode for today. Thank you again, Nick.
Of course.
Thanks for riding along with me on the healing train. I hope today's journey brought you a little more peace, insight, and maybe even a few smiles. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like and share so others can hop on board and benefit too. If you are on a healing journey and want to work with me, connect on Facebook or on Instagram at R2R Coaching. All the links are in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss a stop on the healing train journey. And until next episode, keep on healing you.